everybody. Welcome. Today we have a lot of famous people from the music industry, and we are going to be having a very candid talk with you guys. Uh, I'm very excited to be hosting you guys. My name is Akshita Sukramani. I am from the Social and Dramatic Union of Jai Hind College. I'd like to start off with introducing Miss Kavya Ajit. She comes from two parents who are a gynecologist and a pulmonologist. She learned Carnatic classical music vocals from her grandmother Kamala Subramaniam, who was a former All India radio artist. She's mastered in both Carnatic vocals as well as Western violin. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my
Second,
pleasure. Thank you.
yeah. Second, we have the sister pop duo Symmetry, Ria and Simran Duggal, winners of Nexa Music. Your latest song, Different Kind of Love, has just got me hooked on completely. Congratulations on your new song.
So much.
Next, we have one of our very own sponsors, Vox Coach. Vox Coach is Divya Arti. She is the literal embodiment of a women entrepreneur taking the musical industry head on. She's a voice therapist, artist, singer, rapper, and a scientist. Mostly into old school hip hop and progressive rock. We're really excited to have you here as well, ma'am.
Thank you
Next,
so
we
much.
have Kushal Choksi, a singer, composer, and an electronic music lover. Kushal Choksi started singing at the age of 4, developed skills in classical music, and has been making us listen to some of his really cool composition. And we are very excited to announce that he'll be having his new album in 2021. We're really excited and we're happy to have you, sir. I would like to start off with the first question. So, when you entered into the music industry, what album or what artist or a genre inspired you, or was it just the simple love for music that got you into it? To get the conversation flowing, I'd like to direct the question to Miss Divya.
As many of you will agree, when we were kids, we were taught some style of Indian music by force, which I'm actually kind of happy about because I fell out of it after a couple of years. But then, since it was so ingrained in me, I really loved music. So to answer that as part one of the question, I really loved music. It was flowing in my blood, if you will. So I wanted to get back to it, and I really couldn't sing as flowily and as smoothly as I used to as a kid. So what happened was I went around looking for a lot of people who were into some voice training, but all of that came with formal classical training, which I didn't need. You know what I mean? So I was just looking for voice training, which I did not find, unfortunately. So that led me to researching voice techniques and the science behind how the voice works, and if somebody has an issue, why. Okay. So that is how Vox Coach came about. That's another story. But after all those years, when I felt this real strong urge to get back to singing and actually be on stage, I started visualizing that. It was when I watched this one song called Given to Me by Michael Jackson, which was released many, many years before that when I was a kid, when I didn't even think he was still alive. I was like, okay, he's the king of pop, so what? So that's the kind of thing that, was very magical. After so many years of his passing, one fine day I woke up to the fact that, oh my God, I want to sing like this guy who is no longer around, but I want to carry this, legacy forward or whatever. So Given to Me by Michael Jackson is what really did it for me. And I started researching voice techniques, and that is how voice training and Vox Coach came about. I'm the founder. I'm also a singer, vocal coach, voice therapist.
Mr. Kushal, I would like to pass on the same question to you.
I have a very different approach with music. So my sister used to learn music. So I used to just crawl around the harmonium and just keep my hands on the keys and just play something just like a toy.
Yeah.
So the guru who used to teach my sister, he told my parents that he has some sur, he has the sur knowledge, he can play, he can just murmur something. So then my parents started thinking more seriously that, wow, is it something? So basically I was God gifted with my voice. And then my parents planned to, just have a nice guru who can teach me good music. I was lucky to get a very, very nice guru, Sri Aniket Khandekar. So then I started listening to Indian classical music. So I was known to Bollywood and a lot of pop culture and everything, but I was very small. I was just 5, and at that time there was nothing. There were just cassettes, and I used to listen to Jagjit Singh ghazals and Ghulam Ali ghazals, because my dad and my parents are fond of that kind of music. So I had that kind of a base. But after getting into Indian classical music, and after listening to my guru singing, my guru teaching me, that listening is must. Before singing, you should listen to good music first, so you can sing good, or maybe you can compose or anything. Then I started listening to Pandit Bhimsen Joshi ji, Pandit Jasraj ji, and that is the music which is, the soul of what I do right now. Keeping in mind that kind of music, that is a soul that I blend that music into electronic music and just create something.
Miss
Yeah, thank
Dugal.
you.
The thing is, pop music is different for everyone, right? It's what's
True.
popular at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, but we like doing like the old songs as well, new stuff. The thing is, we come from a musical family similar to Divya. Even we went through some Indian classical training as kids, which we hated.
We keep coming back to it though.
Yeah.
It's like, because we have to, we're Indians, and it's just like that training really helps you. Even though, like, as kids, I remember I used to like not like going for class, even though our sir would come home and I would be like, oh, I can't go, I'll just go late for class.
Even piano class, I would be like going for class after school and be like falling asleep on the piano.
Yeah. But mostly like our parents are musicians, like she said, and
Even our grandfather was a lyricist, so
Oh, wow.
he used to write for Bollywood films. So we've grown up listening to his music, as well as my parents, who both love English music. So we listened to a lot of English music. So that was like our main, what we fell in love with. And now it's just us trying to blend both English and Hindi, because both of them are part of our roots.
Miss Kavya Aji.
Like Ms. Divya rightly said, I think most of us are initiated to, either music or dance at a very early age, even before, we can decide for ourselves if we like it or not. So similarly, I was also initiated to Carnatic music lessons, and my grandmother, Srimati Kamala Subramaniam, she is my first guru in Carnatic. And when I was in the 5th standard, I was made to learn Western violin. Again, thanks to my parents. It was their idea. But now when I look back, I think a big thanks to my parents, because this is the industry I am currently a part of, which wouldn't have happened if they hadn't made that decision for me. So as I grew up, I think my interest and liking for music, the passion also grew along with me. And at a point, I thought I should probably try my luck and do a little more about, this passion of mine, this liking of mine. And I felt that, I always thought that a lot of energy and money and time and effort has been put in by my parents, my teachers, be it my music teachers or my teachers at school. So I thought, it should not go waste. It should not be for nothing. So that's when I decided that, I should maybe take it up more seriously. And then after college, I decided to take up music as a full-time profession. But I don't think I have a particular genre of music or a particular artist, which probably turned my life around. Nothing like that. I think it's just my liking for music.
Why the sudden shift, or how did you or the people around you deal with it when you were like, okay, suddenly I'm going to leave my stable job with a stable income, enter into an industry which is extremely volatile and probably is kind of very hesitant, or may not be a success? So what was your initial thought when you just got into the industry again?
So like you mentioned, I was working with Cognizant, but that was exactly for a year, and that was not exactly part of my plan, because I completed my computer science engineering hoping that I would be allowed to take up music as a full-time profession. Probably my parents would be okay with that now that I have a basic degree, like how they call it here. But that did not happen. I got placed in Cognizant and I had to take up the job. And then I chose Chennai as my first preference for the job, hoping that I will be able to balance between the both. like, Chennai being the music hub and all that. So, but by the end of my first year at Cognizant, I realized that I was not able to attain a perfect balance. My music was still taking a back seat. And that's when I realized that, it's time to quit my job and take up, make a big decision. But then again, I did not warn or tell my parents that I was going to quit my job. I basically did not leave them with a choice. I resigned and only then told them, which definitely left them petrified. And it took them a few weeks to be okay with it. And in fact, for a year or almost 2 years after I quit my job, while I was pursuing music as my full-time profession, only my parents and my family knew that I did not have the software job anymore, because then there'll be too much of interference, and how relatives are trying to brainwash my parents. So I did not want to face all that trouble. So we kept it a secret, and now obviously it's everybody knows. And yes, I will not blame my parents for being petrified with this decision of mine, because it is true and understandable when they say that it's a very volatile, it's a very uncertain, risky profession. But then I'm glad they stood by me and they understood me finally. So
yeah, I totally resonate with a couple of things you've said. But yeah, let me tell you about my story. Scientist in the sense that, because I delve really deep into voice science, so from that angle, yes, scientist. But it's not like I'm like Einstein, my hairstand, not that deep yet, because I do love voice and singing a lot. Okay, but before this, I was actually a chemistry lecturer. So if you're aware of all the happening colleges in Bangalore, if you will, I'm from Bangalore. There's Mount Carmel College, which is an all-girls college, and it's been happening for years. My mother, my grandmother, everybody I know practically has gone to that college. So I was a chemistry lecturer in that college, before which I was also a student there. So it was like second home to me, and I had a blast there. We used to have fests. I was in some committee or the other, and I was one of the youngest lecturers back then. So this, like you rightfully said, Akshita, about 6 years ago was when I quit. That was because progressively I realized that I'm just redundantly doing something there. There is a semester exam. Okay, they take it up, and then I'm correcting some books, and then I'm correcting some papers, and then I'm just going back to the auditorium, having a blast, saying yay to some fest and some dance competition, and then getting back home again. It's the same cycle. So some people, I'm not saying that cycle is bad. It's just that it didn't sit well with me, because I felt like I had something more to do. I felt like something is missing. And I didn't even know what I was going to do, by the way, guys. So if at all any of you have this, thought or this fear that, oh my God, I don't really know whether I'm doing the right thing. If you feel it in your heart, you're doing the right thing. I know I'm not sermonizing, but I'm just giving you my, experience, if it's helpful to you. So that is when I went and I just told people in my department that I'm going to quit. And I had no rhyme or reason. And I said it like it was. I was like, I don't feel like I belong here. It's not my calling. I'm very sorry. I had a blast, but I'm going to leave. That is exactly how it happened. And from then on, everything has been happening in the same manner. It's simply because I've worked with that faith. Of course, that doesn't mean that it's all right if I land up on the footpath or without a roof on my head. I was mindful of those basics that we need as human beings. I followed my heart. I knew that I was doing the wrong thing and I quit. And then, just like Kavya was saying, I thought that, okay, I can take up some other education-based job and then I can sing during the weekend. It just didn't cut it for me. Again, I'm talking about myself. It didn't cut it for me. And then I went from one job to the other with better and better pay packages offered to me. Okay, people were looking at me like I've lost my mind, because I kept quitting after every 2 days. All the time. But every single time, every single week and day, I was working on myself. I was learning, I was singing for a long period. I was blindly doing voice exercises simply because they were working so beautifully. I sounded very nice and very free. And then I think destiny had it that I had to become a coach, which is why I was just following. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew something was going to happen. I quit. Nobody appreciated me and said, wow, what a great move. Awesome. Please follow your heart. Nobody said that. Okay. My mother was like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? That is exactly what happened to Kavya also. It'll happen to everyone. But if you can trust your guts, then you're good. You're good. And I didn't plan Vox Coach when I quit MCC thinking, oh, I love music. I'm going to do this and then this and then this. But every time something came to me, I started working on it. And then I was destined to become a coach. And I've released a song. So I'm like juggling a lot of things with voice and music. And this is
So, if you had to collaborate with one of your dream artists or a band, it can be anybody, okay, one of your dream artists you had to collaborate with. Some of you have had the opportunity to collaborate with one of the biggest artists in the industry, the most respected ones, and congratulations. But apart from those guys, if you had to collaborate with anybody, who would it be? Let's start off with Miss Kavya, if that's okay.
I think I will have to bring up too many names, but then if I had to restrict it to one, it would be Michael Jackson. Unfortunately, he's no more with us. But then, like almost everybody out there, I'm a huge fan of his music and his songs. So yeah, that would have definitely been a dream come true for me. But yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Mr. Kushal, what do you think? Who would you want to collaborate with?
I have a lot of artists in my mind right now, but the one artist which in this lockdown I saw his documentary. I mean, I just did a lot of research on him. Mr. R.D. Burman. So yeah, I consider him the electronic artist of India, right? Because he was the only artist who came up with analog synths in the late 70s music, early 70s, late 70s music. And I was just watching a documentary, and I what research which I am doing right now for my for improving my sound, for just giving new sounds. That guy used to sample in 70s. Mr. R.D. Burman used to sample music in 70s in India, where I don't know any other artist who used to make that kind of a commercial Bollywood music. He's unfortunately no more, but it will always be a dream for me.
Miss Divya, same question.
Yes. Obviously, Michael Jackson and Tupac, and both of them are not alive, but I'm sure I'll meet them on the other side. However, I don't know if you're aware, Quincy Jones is the mastermind behind jazz and orchestration, and he's from the USA. He's pretty old now, but very healthy, touchwood, and still making lots of music. And he's the man, in fact, who conducted and composed "We Are the World." I'm sure all of you will know that song. We are the world. So that's the kind of new artist day in and day out. Really my dream to work with him, and of course Snoop Dogg also. Fingers crossed. Yeah, so these are the people.
My next question has to be, any of you developed this one habit or something that you guys do daily, like how Miss Divya said that she has vocal techniques, that she continuously does vocal exercises to relax her notes and stuff like that so she can reach better pitches. So do you guys have or developed such a habit that you do it every single day before you sit for riyas, or you start off with your musical composition, whatever, that one thing that you do? Have you developed any such habit? Okay, let's start off with Mr. Kushal.
I have a lot of artists in my mind right now, but the one artist which in this lockdown I saw his documentary. I mean, I just did a lot of research on him. Mr. R.D. Burman. So yeah, I consider him the electronic artist of India, right? Because he was the only artist who came up with analog synths in the late 70s music, early 70s, late 70s music. And I was just watching a documentary, and I what research which I am doing right now for my for improving my sound, for just giving new sounds. That guy used to sample in 70s. Mr. R.D. Burman used to sample music in 70s in India, where I don't know any other artist who used to make that kind of a commercial Bollywood music. He's unfortunately no more, but it will always be a dream for me.
Symmetry, what do you guys think?
So for us, we like sometimes we'll do our riyaz together, but sometimes we feel like okay, we need our space to really. Sorry, I can't see this.
Basically, we do riyaz every day, like, and I have tried waking up and doing riyaz, but like my voice is never fully open. I always end up stealing my voice in the morning. So around 12,
Like
12:30,
afternoon, before lunch kind of thing.
yeah, when your stomach is nice and empty, that's when we like doing our riyaz.
So
And
we'll start off with some Indian classical stuff, or like we'll just like sa and like stay on that note. That's how like
Kharaj riyaz, the low notes.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we like switch to Western vocals also. Like we have this warm up exercise thing to do. Um, so once we're that like done with one, we move to the other,
And then once you're done warming up, we also like after our Western, we come back to Indian and we work on our runs and all the different the technical bits. Basically, once your voice is warmed up, then you can work on expanding your abilities, right? So just warm up is not enough. So then after that, we like to do more complex exercises.
and songs also like as well. Like you should practice the songs as much as vocal warm ups also. And then we'll try to space it out. Like so either if we've done some Indian classical now, we'll space it out, keep like a break in the middle and come back to it and do our Western vocals and then start singing after that. Really.
It's just like when you go to the gym after a few exercises, you always take like a 2-minute break because you don't want to overwork. So you keep taking a lot of breaks throughout.
Yeah. I would like to take a break to say that Mr. Kushal has to leave because of other commitments. Miss Divya, I believe you have your own set of vocal exercises that you must follow every morning. So please enlighten us.
Yeah. So basically, what has happened is from so many exercises being done on a regular basis, it's funneled down to these few because they work for me on any normal day. But then, if there is a recording and there's a specific style of song that is required, then my knowledge of what I need to use as an additional exercise will come into the picture. So basically, there is a set of exercise that I do on a regular basis. Apart from that, since I have a diversity of students and they sing different styles and in different languages, I make it my duty to learn those songs because otherwise I'm not doing justice to what I'm teaching them. So that is good. That takes up quite a bit of my day as well. And apart from that, the kind of music that I really love, makes you feel good, increases your vibrations and keeps you happy and light. So I do a lot of singing, I take classes, I do my exercises. Not like I'm a morning person. I don't wake up at 5 and then do it for 2 hours. It's not like that. It's just that I wake up a little later than 5, a lot later than 5, take my classes, do my exercises in between, experiment with the songs that the students want to learn.
Miss Kavya?
Okay, the only thing that I try to do every day is practice whatever it be. And when I say practice, I only practice Indian classical music because I'm only trained in Indian classical music. Everything else that I sing is just out of interest. And I have not been to an exclusive vocal training coach. So I'm not quite good at all those vocal techniques. But yes, I try to not miss out on practicing Indian anything. It could be just the basics. It could be just for 10 minutes or half an hour, depending on how much time I get each day. So that's probably the only thing that I try to do. And the reason is that I always feel that I'm not a born singer, but a trained singer. I don't know if there is even such a thing called a born singer and a trained singer, because if I don't practice for a couple of days, I can, feel the difference when I sing. My throat is strained, my vocal cords are strained. So, and that really bothers me. So I don't want to end up in such a situation, where I'm having strained vocal cords. So be it for 10 minutes or 1 hour, depending on how much time I get each day, I just, try to do some vocal exercise. Yeah. So that's
Oh.
the only thing that I do.
I think from summing it all up, I think we can say that consistency is key, and in some
Yes.
way or the other,
Yeah.
classical has helped everybody take a step further in whatever genre, or let's say any artist that they want to go ahead with. As a musician or as an artist as such, also you face a lot of criticism, okay? Because I like a particular genre of music. Suppose I'm into metal and rock and roll, and people are like, okay, you worship Satan. Okay, you're this atheist person that does not like, oh my god, no, 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 this is not a godly person. And I'm just like, that's not true, right? So you get criticism for what you hear or what you make. And I think that happens in the life of each and every artist. So at some point, I'm assuming that all of you must have faced that as well. Either when you go up on stage or you enter into a studio and present your music to other people, it's just like they think that it's okay, that okay, I'm presenting it to you, so you can criticize how much ever you want. Well, it's not that case, but people still tend to do it. So how do you deal with people like this? How do you exactly cope with it? Do you like just sit and sulk, or do you like, hey, you know what, I'm not like that, or just threaten them or something? Miss Kavya, why don't you go first?
Okay. I mean, definitely as an artist, we get criticized a lot for the kind of music we prefer listening to, or the way I sing, or the kind of songs I like to sing. Everything has an opinion from, I get an opinion from almost everybody out there. And I think personally, I know when it is a constructive criticism, because, when I maybe go through my the comments on my YouTube videos, the cover songs are originals. So there, you should probably work a little more on your pronunciation, or this particular place. There, when you read a constructive criticism, and I'm very much open to such criticisms. But then, you also know when a when a person criticizes you just because he doesn't like it. So that is something that I cannot accept, because just like me, they also have their own opinions and likes and dislikes, and they are perfectly they can perfectly like what they like and dislike what they dislike. But then they cannot force it upon me, or expect me to follow that particular style, or only listen to that. So primarily when I sing, or when I want to make my own music, or make my own music, I make sure that I like it first, and then worry about if the other people are going to like it or not. So I think primarily it's about my liking for what I do, and then comes everybody else. So because I believe I should be happy with my product first. Yeah. So
I think that's really to be self-satisfied with your own music, because like whatever people I meet, they're constantly like, oh no, you know what? I don't think this is good enough, or I think it can be better, or I. So you constantly have to assure them that no, that you're actually a good musician and you're just overthinking this. But I think self-appreciation of your own music takes a lot of courage. It takes something. It does not come that easy, and I think I have a lot of respect for somebody who can do that.
Yeah, I just have one more point to add, because it was very recently that I came across a video which had the most disliked collection of videos on YouTube, and apparently all of those were the biggest of hits that that had ever come out. So that clearly shows us that even the best of products, even the best of songs, the most popular hit numbers have equal number of haters too. So it is never possible to satisfy everybody. There is always going to be at least one person who doesn't like it. So yeah, you might as well satisfy yourself.
Yeah, I think that's when you truly become successful, something that you are capable of. So once you start to respect yourself and your own music, is when you reach something that you can actually be proud of. I think that's a really great advice that you've given. Thank you so much for taking out the time.
Yes. So I totally agree with Kavya. The fact that you have to look on the inside for satisfaction rather than the outside, but we're so used to the latter, that we're always asking somebody to, let us know how our music is, or how we're performing, or even how we're looking, and silly things like that. So obviously, if you are happy with what you're doing, I think it'll actually resonate with the right people. Okay, that is the point that I want to make. You will have loads of people waiting to listen to your music. Okay, there's no dearth for it if you're really good, right? And you know that you're good. It's just that you also need to have it in you to pick the right kind of people to work with. Okay, because all that inner work that you have done, that I am worth this, and I really love my music, now I can show it to another person. If that other person turns out to be a moron, you will get to know in due course, because this is through experience that I'm saying so. So you will get to know, identify between, like she again pointed, somebody who's just going to criticize because he or she has nothing else to do. He just has to deliver a product. It's not coming from his heart. Again, you can't blame that person, because they just want what they want, and we don't have what they want. So you have to really distance yourself from such people, and try and look for people who will resonate with the kind of work that you wish to do, the kind of genres that you wish to sing. And there are loads of people. The population of the world has exploded. There is no dearth. Okay, it's not like, oh my God, where am I going to find that person? Again, shift your thoughts to, I'm sure he's round the corner, and he is round the corner, she is round the corner. So it's about first inner satisfaction, and then finding the right kind of people who function like, so that you can make a good team. Then you can make a good team.
I think it's rather true. So, Maitri, what do you guys think?
So there are a lot of people who criticize, right? Firstly is this the self. You criticize yourself.
Yeah.
There's your parents who are always looking out for you, but they always have something to say about whatever you do.
Yeah.
Then there's your close friends, and plus the people whose maybe music you appreciate or work you appreciate, and you appreciate their advice, opinion, and you like their work. So you like their criticism basically is always constructive, because they are looking out for you, and it's only for your own benefit. Then there's the
People on social
Aam
media.
Janta, yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Who
The trolls.
their comments, and you can see that this person either knows what they're talking about, or they just want to comment for the sake of commenting.
True.
We've gotten a lot of those, like, because there's two of us girls.
Yeah, people are comparing us, being like, who's better than the other. And I remember this one video, it's an old one, it was of us singing a Hindi song. It was a Rapna, I think. And everyone was like hating me. They were like, oh my God, this girl ruined it. Or this girl, they were like, she's really bad. And I remember getting really affected by it in the beginning of that time. I was just like, why are they hating on me so much? But I think after I came back the other day and I was looking at it, and it was just so funny, and we were talking about it and we were laughing about it, because I think it's just a process. Like, you go through that, but once you know, like, once you keep going through it, then you know, like, you can't let that affect you anymore. You can't, like, people are gonna hate you no matter what. People are gonna think however they want to think. Yes, you can always tell them to be kind and everything and be nicer, but some people are just not going to listen, and you shouldn't let that affect you no matter what. Just take the good feedback, take the constructive criticism.
Is there any advice as a newbie and as a person who's been in the industry for very long? Would you like to give some inspiration or advice that somebody passed on to you, to the upcoming singers? That, hey, you know what, it's gonna be, because it's gonna be a difficult road for these guys as well. So is there anything that you'd like to say to them?
Follow your heart. Again, being mindful of what your general daily requirements to survive on this planet are. Okay, if you follow your heart, it is really going to take you really close to where you wish to be. Because since I quit the cushy job, so-called cushy job that I would have otherwise seen myself retiring from, once I quit that, things became really magical for me. Every step of the way, things were coming and landing in my lap, and everything that landed in my lap got better and better. Okay, because I was allowing what I was supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
True.
heart. And this, I wouldn't say anybody told me verbatim. They didn't come and tap me on my shoulder and say, listen, Divya, you know what, you follow your heart. No, I just follow these kind of artists who are real, you know, who actually speak their minds, who do exactly what they want, and they communicate whatever it is through their music. So being real and true to yourself, despite all these varying opinions from family and friends and other unknown people even, if you're true to yourself, I think half the journey is covered in that sense. The other half is you actually working on the creative bit, because you're at peace doing whatever you're doing. So if it makes sense, then please try and listen to your inner voice. The next time you go to do something and something is saying don't do it, just pay a little more attention to it. Okay, that inner voice or that bird on your shoulder, whatever you want to call it, your intuition that is saying, hey, listen, not that person, this person. Actually pay a little bit of attention hereafter, and that's going to take you a long way. That's what I have to say.
I'm feeling almost. I'm like, right now I'll go record a song. I don't have a song, but I'll just go record it right now.
Yeah, you should, with whatever you have, if you feel like it.
Yeah. Symmetry, what do you guys think is like future of pop right here? What do you guys think?
Like she said, when you're true to yourself, then you'll be able to contribute something different to the music industry, or just to the volume of music that's out there. Because already you're a different person, you're original just by being you, because you've had an experience that is unique to only you. So when you're different and original, then that's when you get noticed and have your niche, and of course practicing and consistent at that.
Yeah, I guess keep trying to do what you're good at instead of like imitating or comparing yourself to someone else. Like a lot of especially on Instagram, we like see what other people are doing, or even like fellow musicians, like, oh my god, this person is doing such good things. I think it's important to like focus on your own journey and what your like what your story is. You need to put that out and focus on it more than anything, because that's what really makes you different, and that's what makes you stand out. So like,
I think one of my brother is really into music. So one of the main things that he told me was it's okay to get inspired by another artist or a musician or anybody, but it is important that when you do get inspired, you leave, or when you do make music inspired from another artist, you make sure you add your own mark to it. You don't want to become like the next Chester Bennington or Corey Taylor or somebody like that. You want to become the next you. You want somebody who will get inspired from you instead of you getting, if you know what I mean. If you getting inspired, you just don't want to become another guy. You want to.
Yeah, Akshita, you're absolutely right. Sorry if I cut you off, because
No,
I forget. I'm very old. So let me just tell you.
I'm so
what
sorry.
want
I
to
mean,
tell
it's
you.
music.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I have no problem. Okay, so the thing is, Michael Jackson has a lot of fans, right? Who are also well-known artists. For example, The Weeknd.
True.
Then you have Lloyd. Okay. Who's the guy who sang? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Grenade. Please don't kill me. What's his name?
Bruno Mars. Bruno
Oh my
Mars.
God, seriously, something's wrong with my memory. But yes,
I think
Bruno
he's
Mars.
inspired from Elvis Presley. Like
Also.
he has his, yes, maybe
Was,
Michael
right?
Yeah.
Okay, but when it comes to the techniques, right? Singing techniques and all of that, you can actually identify that it has a little bit of flavor of Michael Jackson, but at the same time, they are The Weeknd, they are Bruno Mars, and whoever they really are. So that is exactly what you're talking about, right? And I'm really coming back to the point that if you follow your heart, I think that part of you will reflect.
Yeah. I think, can I just, I'd like to end this formally, but thank you so much for joining us for this conversation. It was truly very enlightening on a personal note as well. And I'm pretty sure all the people, when the video comes out, they're going to be extremely excited. And honestly, there was a lot of knowledge to learn and understand insights of the music industry, because honestly, it takes a lot of strength and lot of willpower to actually enter into such a volatile industry, and you guys are literal definitions of normal people who turned into music inspirations. And I think the upcoming generation would really like to look up to you as somebody who made it in the industry and would want to follow your footsteps as well. So thank you so much for entering. Thank you so much for taking out the time to actually converse, give out your story, share a little piece of you with us. It was honestly a very enlightening experience just hearing you talk and to your own story coming from different backgrounds. It was truly very inspirational, and I love this conversation so much. So thank you.
Thank you for having us.